Welcome to Talking Points. I'm Esme Murphy. We are talking about surveillance pricing. Sounds a little creepy? Well, it kind of is a little creepy the more you look into. Surveillance pricing is when companies use data collected on you to set individualized pricing for consumers. And many consumers are paying more because of that. Some legislators in Minnesota are trying to do something about that. There is a law that would ban surveillance pricing. Erin Koegel is the co-chair of the House Commerce, Finance, and Policy Committee. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
All right. What are some examples of surveillance pricing that you have found in your research?
Yeah, so when we first kind of heard about this issue before session started, we were able to do a little bit of an experiment, and my committee administrator who works on commerce with us is a twin. And so him and his twin brother share, they're identical twins, share DNA, share a phone plan, live in the same home together, and ordered Ubers at the exact same time to the exact same location at the Mall of America, and the prices were always different. And so my committee administrator consistently saw a higher price than his twin brother.
So one of the twins consistently got a higher price. I know there are other examples. Groceries is a big example, especially with so many people shopping online.
Yeah.
What have you heard about that?
Well, there was a report from Kroger's out on the West Coast. We don't have any Kroger's here in Minnesota, but they found that they were setting prices based off of people's income. So they separated them into 3 categories, and each person, depending on the category that they were put in, got a different price. And so there were lower prices and higher prices. And so it's just kind of, the companies are using our personal data to find our pain points, how much we will pay for something, and they're also using it on wages as well. So determining how little pay you will take for a job as well.
Now, I know in my research I found that pricing decisions can be done based on your zip code. In other words, a more affluent zip code, you'll pay more. How would they really get into the income variance? Is there that much stuff about our incomes online?
I mean, yeah, there's purchase data history on your purchases. And so they take that data and just kind of extrapolate, your income.
Okay. I will say that companies deny this. Uber has denied it, Instacart has denied it, a lot of other companies deny that they're using it, but this all keeps coming up. What would the bill do that you're co-sponsoring?
So the bill that we're working through right now would basically just outlaw the use of personal data for prices. So companies would not be able to use all of your personal data to determine what you would pay. So it would outlaw the use of personal data for price setting. Okay,
and I know that actually New York and Tennessee have laws against algorithmic pricing. I think we all kind of know what an algorithm is, but does this go beyond that? Is it beyond algorithms that they're using?
Well, I think the thing is that they're using our data. Right. And so we have no idea what kind of data they're collecting on us. We don't, and the point is that they don't want us to understand what's happening, because the bedrock to, free markets and a healthy economy is that transparency. And knowing how much what the value of a product is.
Right.
And if they're determining the value of a product for you, then it's not a fair market.
Now, I know the Chamber of Commerce has expressed concerns. They said that it could, quote, restrict marketing and research efforts that are widely used by most companies, eliminate discounts, increase operational costs, or restrict tools that help retailers deliver savings to customers. Your thoughts about that?
Yeah, well, I think, they see this as a way to make money. Right now we know that the system is rigged against working people. Low income and middle income folks are seeing their wealth extracted and setting accounts in the Caymans or, yachts on Lake Minnetonka. And so the average working person isn't feeling this, but we know that the companies are talking about this to their investors as a great way to maximize profits. They've been on their investment shareholder calls talking about this as a way to maximize profits. Well, really just finding a way to get every penny possible out of you.
Well, from the company standpoint, to a certain extent, companies for as long as time have researched marketing trends, researched consumer habits in different communities. Isn't that just isn't that just sort of the next step from the company's perspective?
Well, I think we need to really think about our values here in Minnesota, and do we want a system that's tilted towards big corporations and the wealthy, or do we want a system that's fair to the workers and the people of Minnesota? And so we've seen that data also be used as, you know, if Starbucks knows you're going to come in every day and get that cup of coffee from your rewards program, you're likely to actually see a higher price on your daily cup of coffee than if, like me, I don't drink coffee, and so they're trying to lure me into the stores.
So you might get discount offers.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and so you know, and there's countless examples of this. The Consumer Reports did a study on it. They found in Minnesota, actually in St. Paul at a Target, that there were a huge variance in prices for certain customers.
All right, and other states are actually looking at doing something about this. Maryland, Minnesota, obviously, Colorado, New Jersey, and Washington. Also, the House Commerce Committee is actually going to be holding hearings on this. The U.S. House Commerce Committee is holding hearings on this. Who would enforce this? I mean, how can we? I guess the technology is moving so quickly. How do we even know what they're using to decide these things?
Well, luckily there's people much smarter than me that you know the technology. I think as public policymakers, we just have to put the guidance out there to say that this is wrong, and that and then we need to really lean on, you know, the enforcements out there, either the BCA or our Commerce Department. Attorney General's office, whoever is investigating these things, so that they're empowered to actually enforce the laws.
Because this is not illegal.
No.
Right
well, there's actually a little bit of shaky ground on that. I was doing some research, you know, earlier, and they're not clear. The laws aren't clear if this is legal or not. And so I think the thing that we're trying to do here in Minnesota is make it clear that we want a fair and transparent market, and that you know, we want to know what these companies are doing.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely not clearly illegal, but you're saying that in some respects it can be. I mean, there are all kinds of issues being raised here.
Well, I think the thing is that technology is outpacing laws. And so, you know, we've seen this with crypto kiosks. There was just a report in Iowa.
You're proposing the ban on crypto kiosks.
Yeah, and we saw a AG's report from Iowa that said 98% of crypto kiosks in Iowa were used for fraudulent activity. And so really there's a lot of stuff that is kind of, we need to get the reins on this technology and take a step back a little bit before we let it kind of out into the wild.
I understand that this is a partisan issue. You do not have a lot of Republican support on that. Do you have any Republican support? Because right now it's been laid over, so it's still alive.
Yeah.
But you need Republican support these days because of the dynamics of the legislature.
Well, and that's kind of, you know, why I'm coming to talk to you about this issue. Right now we don't have any Republican support. Sometimes it feels like, you know, we're on different sides, and it's, you know, the working people against the big corporations. And I think it's just getting harder to defend the practices of these businesses. And so we're just really hoping that, you know, constituents reach out to their legislators to let them know that this isn't fair, and it's only in, you know, extracting more wealth from the lower and middle income folks. And
just, you know, in terms of your research, obviously you want people to contact you and contact their legislators, because there is a bill that would do away with this. What else would you advise people from, other than knowing it's happening? Do you have any advice just based on your research?
Well, I think searching for flights incognito mode. Kind of like, you basically have to hide your identity online now to get fair prices. And so clearing your cookies and cache, which I don't even know what that means, but apparently if you clear them, they, you know, that kind of wipes out some of that browsing history. And so,
really? Okay.
Yeah,
well, that makes sense.
And so just trying to make sure that you're clearing your browsing history, you're clearing all of that information off of your web browsers, because that's the thing, all of that data is being collected and sold to third-party brokers who then extrapolate data.
Okay. Well, that's something that we can all do. It takes a couple of, you know, you have to look up how to do it, but I have to look up how to do it, but yeah, that can be done.
But I mean, it's just not fair, you know? We should expect transparency from the markets and transparency from the companies that are selling the products, and you know, that's the bedrock to a free market.
Well, Representative, thank you so much for coming by, and obviously a very important topic that we're going to be exploring and following this bill as it goes through the legislature. That does it for this edition of Talking Points. As always, please please email me with comments and suggestions at esme@cbs.com. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Esme Murphy, WCCO News.